illegal participation on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains first down.
This had better be a big play after all of that. Second down and 8, 4.5 to go in the half, 6-0 Beavers. Jonathan from the right hash from the zone 25 goes back to throw and throws the out, and it's caught, and it's going to be a big play. Chad Johnson down the left sideline. Nobody will catch Chad, and it's a touchdown, 75 yards for the Beavers. This is the moment, and right here will tell perhaps all about that. 3rd and 1.5 from the right hash. Simon's in the handoff. Ken cuts to the left. First down and more. 30, 25, 20. Simonson on his way. Ken into the end zone. Touchdown Beavers. And the streak is going to end here tonight. The snap on target to Wojtnik. He gets a much better punt away here. Sammy Stroughter back to his 30-yard line. Starts up the middle. Gets to the 40. He's got a seam. 45 midfield. 45, 40. He's got a chance to go. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Beavers!
Monumentals or the black suits running in. Nod your head. The black suits. Let me see you nod your head like this. Let me see you like this. Let me see you bop your head. Nod your head. Come on. Let me see you like this. Let me see you nod your head like this. Check it, yo, it's this chick, right? Serlina, making me sick, right? Earth is worthless to her, she be tripping like threatening me and my men's trying to get the light, thinking she's Superwoman, but black kryptonite.
Welcome to Illegal Participation, the official podcast of the Heiner Tailgater. Recording this while firmly ensconced at the Heiner Tailgater headquarters, I'm your host, head chef, planner, and chief bottle washer, Bill Heine Heinrich. Joining me, as always, from Twin Pines Vineyards, the lead driver and director of thermodynamic lipid immersion, my co-host and brother, the Beej. Beej, how are you doing?
Doing good, Billy. I went out and went to the Nightmare I think it's called the Nightmare Factory.
Ooh, that's the haunted house done by the School of the Deaf there in Salem.
Yes, first time I'd ever been. You know, it was long. It was good, so I hear that a lot, but you know, just usually personally, not on terms of that. But no, it was good. I would say it was good. Uh-huh. They have these weird things though, like you walk through these corridors that are blown up with air. So imagine like two big ass balloons, one on the left and one on the right, and you got to push your way through it. It's like walking through an ass crack.
Oh, so it's like pushing in on each side?
Yes. So that was a little weird. There were some strobing effects that got you really kind of dazed and confused after a while. Uh-huh. But it was good. I got to tell you a quick story though on this one. Okay. So the gal that I went with, we went out to dinner and we're chatting on things, and so she's telling me, so she found a bottle of lube her son left out on the counter. Okay.
Ooh, how old's the son?
Like 17.
Ooh, okay.
And she's like, I was freaking out. She's like, my son's having sex. I'm freaking out. And I'm like, God, what did you do? And I'm thinking to myself, God, don't go down this road. And she's like, well, I took a picture of it. I sent it to him. I said, what is this? Probably, I would say, one of the most horrific things that a mother could ever do to her son, right? Yeah. And she's like, are you having sex? And he had to say, no, Mom, I'm using it to clean my own pipes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing to tell your mom that you're releasing the poisons.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get the poison out.
Exactly. Like, so bad. And she goes, the bottle was huge. I'm like, well, you could get that crap on Amazon pretty cool, cheap, and you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, your poor boy. I'm never going to be able to look at the kid. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah, so that was my fun story for the night. Yeah. So
that's
rule of thumb.
That's the one where you just take it and put it back in the room.
Yeah.
Say, I hope you're being smart.
Yeah, you don't say anything. You just leave it alone.
Where do you leave it at?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm guessing in the bathroom,
Yeah.
Probably, I have no idea.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, the purpose of illegal participation. What?
Oh no, I'm just like, I would have just thrown it away and ignored it, act like it never happened, and then he'd be like, I wonder what happened to it. I'm hoping it just went away and nothing happened.
To my economy bottle of lube.
It's like a 16-ouncer. It was like, well, no, what are those? What are the tall cans of beer that you get? The real tall cans of beer? Are those 20 ounces? Yeah, it was like 20 ounces. Yeah.
Wow. Well, the
for some people that last them a few months. For me, like maybe a week and a half.
There you go.
So, yeah.
The purpose of illegal participation is for us to spread our insight, experiences, and passion for the Oregon State Beavers with others, and just generally talk Beaver sports, football, tailgating, and have some fun along the way. Want to remind everyone you can listen to us on your Android or iPhone on the Stitcher Radio app. You can also use Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, or your favorite podcatcher. We are available on pretty much anything. And actually,
that's awesome.
And actually, I think you can even listen to us on iTunes. There's no video, but you can listen to the show. Through YouTube.
Okay, we're on YouTube?
Yeah, I think if you go to the Heinrich Tailgater YouTube channel.
Will they censor our music? Will they censor the music out or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. Just Facebook censors the music out.
Yeah.
Freaking commies.
Yeah, so if you want to hear the music, then just listen to it on a different podcatcher app. So. All right, if you want to get in touch with us, HeinrichTailgater@gmail.com, at Heinrich Tailgater on Twitter, and also Heinrich Tailgater on Facebook.
Are you checking the emails early?
I did check the emails. The only email we have is this week's email from Kyle.
Okay.
So right now, Beej, it's time to get into some Beaver sports news. We'll start out with some women's volleyball.
Loving women's volleyball, Billy. Do tell me, how are those ladies doing? Are they improving?
Well, Beej, the Oregon State volleyball team went on the road Friday down to the McHale Center in Tucson to take on Arizona. And they had a very poor start. We're down 2-0.
Okay.
But they came back to win in 5 sets.
Nice.
That was a good butt, right?
That was a good butt. Very rarely do we ever have a good butt.
There you go. Now, that's the first time OSU has come back from a 2-0 deficit to win a match since beating Wyoming in 5 sets in 2011. That also snapped a 6-game winless streak for the Beavs. And
nice.
as we record right now, Beej, on my computer, I've got on the Pac-12 network, and the Beavs are taking on Arizona State, and they're down 1-0 and 21-24 in the second set, and now it is 20. Nope, they just lost. 25-21. So they're down 2-0 there.
Okay.
But Beej, since we have the capability to time travel, Maddie Goings led the Beavers' offense with 10 kills, but the OSU volleyball team fell in 3 sets on the road at Arizona State Sunday afternoon to wrap up the first half of the Pac-12 conference. The Beavers took the loss, dropping the record to 9-12 overall, 3-7 in league. Up next, the Beavs open the second half of the conference season on the road in the Bay Area this week with matches at Stanford on Friday and Cal on Saturday. So, I mean, who would have seen that coming?
I can't believe it. I cannot believe that just happened.
I know. So, yeah, so can't wait to see the ladies next week. All right, Beej, you're ready for some women's soccer?
Oh, women's soccer. Again, women running around in short shorts,
Well, Beej.
It's surprising that they don't have bigger attendance.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt it. So down in Tempe on Thursday night, freshman Abby Schwartz scored twice. That's twice more than you usually do. And redshirt sophomore Mackenzie Weiner added another as Oregon State defeated the Sun Devils 3-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, and I like to say I score usually twice a day, but I just don't have a competitor.
Yeah. You just your giant vat of lube sitting beside your bed. And then, Beej, on Sunday, the Beavs took on Arizona, and Sydney Studer scored early, but Oregon State fell to Arizona on Sunday afternoon 2-1 in Pac-12 play. With that loss, it brings the Oregon State's record to 10-4-2 overall, 2-4-2 in the Pac-12. The Beavs return home this week to host UCLA on October 31st and USC on the 3rd to begin a 3-game homestand to end the regular season.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I know. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So, and I can't wait to see what the ladies do this week.
Yes.
All right, Beej, on to men's soccer. Sophomore Glory Amanda found the net in the 98th minute to lift the Oregon State men's soccer team to a 1-0 road victory over San Diego State in some Pac-12 play Thursday evening down in San Diego. So that's always good. That's always good to get a Pac-12 win.
Yep.
And then Beej, next they were taking on UCLA, and the Oregon State men's soccer team wrapped up the weekend with a road sweep Sunday afternoon as the Beavers took down UCLA 3-2 in Los Angeles. Now, the win marked the first ever road victory for Oregon State against the Bruins. With the win, the Beavs moved to 7-5-1 on the season and 4-2-1 in Pac-12. The Beavs will play their final 3 matches of the regular season at home beginning on November 7th when Stanford visits Lorenz Field.
Unbelievable, Billy.
Oh my gosh, who would have seen that coming?
It's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I know. So it'll be interesting to see what the men do this week.
Well, maybe you want to watch the men. I'd rather watch the women.
There you go. Well, speaking of women, Beej, as we speak right now, the women are starting with their first exhibition game of the season.
Women what?
Women basketball, sorry.
Oh, I'm like, are we women exhibitionists or exhibitioning?
Nope.
Or what? So,
Nope.
Okay. All right. So right now there's an exhibition going on.
Yep. And
all right.
The Oregon State women's basketball team rolled to a 95-41 win over Union Sunday afternoon in an exhibition match at Gill Coliseum. Freshman Taylor Jones led the Beavs with 27 points on 11 for 20 shooting from the floor. She also tallied 12 rebounds to complete the double-double to go along with 5 blocks. Destiny Slocum finished with 16 points on 5 assists, while Michaela Pivick narrowly missed a double-double with 14 points and 9 rebounds. As a team, the Beavs shot 52% from the floor and held Union to 23.4% shooting. The Beavs also held a 55-36 advantage in rebounds. As we said, the Beavs will host their second exhibition game of the year on Friday when Concordia visits Gill Coliseum. That game will be free.
Wow, who would have saw that coming?
Well, I think we all knew they were going to win. So they're looking pretty good. It's going to be a good season. And then coming up on day, I believe, is their game against the U.S. women's team.
So what age are the U.S. women's teams? Are they college level or are they a little bit older?
No, they're all professionals.
So they're mid-20s, probably mid to late 20s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it'll be a really interesting game. So, Oh, actually, that's not yet. Oh, wait, that's the November 4th. So their next game is November 1st against Concordia.
Concordia in Portland?
Concordia from Portland, yeah.
Okay, cool. Are they playing up in Concordia? Or they play down
they'll
at
play
Gill?
down here.
Okay.
Yep. All right, Beej, and then on to some men's basketball.
And how are Tinkle and the boys doing?
Oregon
I love the name,
State
Tinkle.
rolled to a 79-60 win over Carroll College on Wednesday night in an exhibition game at Gill Coliseum. Kyler Kelly led the Bees with 16 points, while Ethan Thompson added 14, and Trace Tinkle chipped in 13. Oregon State shot 57% from the field and outscored the Fighting States 36-18 in the paint and 21-2 on fast break points. 13 Beavs played in the game, including 6 newcomers, and 10 of them got in the scoring column. The Beavs will next host Warner Pacific in another exhibition game at 7 p.m. on Tuesday at Gill. So there you go. And then...
Hey, Billy?
Yeah.
Never mind. What were you going to say?
Well, we got a little bit of football news, even though the Beavs didn't have a game this week. We have a little football news to catch up on.
Ooh, what happened in football?
Well, Beej, Oregon State redshirt senior punter Daniel Rodriguez was named the Pac-12 Conference's Special Team Player of the Week last week. Now, Rodriguez from Pleasant, California, picked up his second special teams honor of the season after averaging 40.9 yards on 9 punts in the Beavs' 21-17 win over Cal Saturday in Berkeley. He trapped the Golden Bears inside their 20 twice and had a game-long 51-yarder late in the third quarter. Now, Rodriguez is averaging 44.2 yards per punt this season, which would rank him as the second-best single-season mark in school history if the season ended today. He's also averaging 42.7 yards per punt over his career, which is tied for the second best in the program's record books.
Who's number one?
I'm not sure. I can look up for next year. Next week, I mean.
You can what?
I can look up for next week, yeah. Now, the
okay, because you should have known I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, well, you're a dick. That's the only thing I know. So the redshirt senior's honor is the second of the season. He earned his first October 7th after the Beavs defeated UCLA. Now, it's the first time an Oregon State player has been named Special Teams Player of the Week twice in the same season since Justin Cahoot in 2009. And also... What?
Wow, it's been that many years since Cahoot was out there.
Yeah. Now
10 years. Wow.
Yep. Now Beej, also this week, Oregon State redshirt seniors Keegan Firth and Daniel Rodriguez have been added to a pair of watch lists. Firth is now on the Patrick Manley Award watch list, which is being given for the first time this year to the nation's top long snapper. Rodriguez, meanwhile, is the reigning Pac-12 Conference Special Teams Player of the Week and is now on the Ray Guy Award list given annually to the nation's top bunter. Firth has played in all 7 games for the Bees this season and has 3 tackles. The Corvallis native has appeared in 23 career games over 3 seasons for the Beavs. So that's always good. Kind of makes me wish they had that award back when our friend Brad Barcroft was playing. He definitely would have won that.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a long snapper. Especially for the amount of times he had to do it in the season because they stunk back then and punted a lot.
And they did punt a lot. Hey, Billy?
Hey, Yappy.
You hear that?
Yes, I do.
Hold on just 1 second. Hold on. Billy.
Yes, me.
This just in. Eugene restaurants struggle with 4-month-old single-use ordinance. Eugene restaurants have voiced frustration with city's single-use ordinance on straws, utensils, stirrers, and condiment packets. To clarify what is not included in the ordinance, the city will send out a single-use letter to all businesses recapping the rule. City waste prevention analyst Anna Reed, who herself is a waste, said she expects mixed reactions. Good news is the city will only fine a business after sending a single-use warning letter on the first warning, and then they will get fined. Code enforcement is only done by worthless residents who have nothing better to do than report local overtaxed and regulated businesses to overpaid transitioning city official who drives a Prius with a Vote for Bernie bumper sticker on the back of their window. In other news, the city of Eugene said they will expanding their free condoms and needles campaign. All local businesses will now be required by penalty of fine or jail time to hand out 3 condoms and 5 needles to all consumers who make purchases within the city limits. Items must be handed out since bags have been made illegal. And this has been your update from Eugene.
There you go. Isn't that the truth?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, so what was happening, there was a burrito place that wasn't giving lids on their cups because they thought the lids were also illegal. So they were asking if somebody wanted a lid. And so then they're like, no, lids are okay, but straws are not.
Yeah.
So you can take away the lid, but you have to offer the straw, or the person has to ask for the straw.
Yeah.
But if you give the person a straw, then they can report you to the city, which will then get you the letter made on paper, mailed, which will go in the trash, and then ultimately go into landfill, because most likely it will be recycled. Because if I was being done by that for the city, all my stuff would be going in the landfill just out of spite. But yeah. So just unreal what this has come to.
Yeah, well, that was like,
you know, and so a lot of people know I have a part-time retail job, right? So nothing exciting. It keeps me off the streets and out of troubles, and prevents me from going back into that gutter and that really rough, decade that I had there. You remember that time, Billy.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
the dark times.
Those were dark times. Anyway, if anybody knew how much waste, if everybody knew how much waste was produced on the wholesale retail level on shipping products to a business, most likely from China, right? And they knew how much of that product went into the trash. I mean, literally, I work for a retail store. I won't name the name, but probably half of you know. But we get a big-ass cardboard paper box filled with clothes in it, right? And there's T-shirts and whatnot. And a lot of times, those T-shirts will be wrapped in one T-shirt will be wrapped in a single piece of plastic. So it's not like we're getting a bulk 20 thing of shirts in one single plastic. Every shirt is singly wrapped in plastic. And that plastic doesn't get recycled. It gets thrown in the trash, and it goes out and gets sent out to Arlington in a big old, garbage pile out there that they'll bury under earth. And nobody wants to stop that. And if you really think about it, we so care about the environment, but all that crap is pretty much made in Vietnam or China or somewhere in Southeast Asia, right? It's made using chemical processes that probably contaminate the air and soil. Okay. And then in unsatisfactory, what we would consider unsatisfactory working conditions, most likely for unsatisfactory pay, which again, we would consider. They probably don't, but that's their country and this is ours. And then they go on a boat where they burn oil to ship it all the way across the country over to a distribution point where then it has to be trucked out by local places to the retail location that's going to be selling it. And then they have to remove all of the plastic and the cardboard and everything that was done to wrap it so that we can sell it on the shelves. And we're worried about the straw that the consumer is going to use to suck down their Coke.
I know.
Seriously.
I know.
Seriously.
Well, you know
now,
the whole.
You
know the whole reason why the straw thing is.
That's because that little kid wrote a bogus article about a stupid turtle.
Well, the turtle. There was that turtle video that came out. Yeah. Then some kid wrote some paper and basically made up some study about how many straws end up in the ocean. Yeah. Yeah. Literally made it up. And again, study doesn't exist.
Mostly in Southeast Asia.
Yep.
And I don't even know if you. Well, I mean, you and I did that. I mean, when we worked at Walt Disney World, do you remember you were in custodial on Main Street at Walt Disney World in Florida? And after a parade, the ground was disgustingly dirty. Yeah. Right? I mean, everybody just threw all their crap on the ground, popcorn buckets and cups.
Everything.
Then you had to come in with power vacs.
Yeah.
And suck it all up.
But that was the East Coast.
Yeah. And when we went back to California that same year, California was a fraction of mess after a parade. Yeah. And now you go to Florida, and Florida is a fraction of what it was back in '94. Yeah. Do you remember seeing that?
Oh, no, completely.
It's like, wow. Yeah. And so that concept of in caring for your environment has done well in terms of people throwing away the waste, so at least it's not littered across the world and it's just being thrown in a garbage dump. But I mean that's stuff that foreign countries need to resolve on their end. The U.S. is doing a pretty good job. Not that we can't do better, but I mean, for Pete's sake, they make it sound like we're. I always go by what Thomas Sowell always says. Whenever you're looking at a statistic, you always have to say compared to what.
Yeah.
Well, we're terrible at this. Well, compared to what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's what I keep saying. We're getting better. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
No, but we're moving in the right direction.
I mean, but I will tell you, if I go through a McDonald's and I get a hotcakes and sausage and somebody doesn't throw a freaking knife and a fork in there for me, somebody's going to get a foot up their ass. Because I'm not going to be, 3 miles away from the McDonald's going through trying to get my freaking hotcakes and sausage cut up. And then realize that I don't have a freaking fork and a knife. Yeah. I'm not going to with my hands. I'm not a savage. So anyway.
Anyways, Beej, it is now time to go under for the review for week number 9 in the Pac-12.
After further review, the runner did cross the line. Touchdown.
All right. What's going on?
Can you believe that?
I only caught week 9, number 9. I only caught a half of one game on the radio on XM.
Really?
So yeah. So I'm not very up on this at all.
Well, Beej, I apologize. It was some good football going on.
Our first game was UCLA at Colorado.
No.
And what?
No, it wasn't. All right.
Wasn't it?
So heading into this week, Beej.
That's what I have.
Heading into this week. We had There was 41 points. Kyle was in last place. I hate you, Kyle. With 31 out of 41. You were in second at 37 out of 41. And I was at 39 out of 41. Up first, we had one game on Friday night. USC.
Oh, okay. At Colorado. So
Colorado.
It wasn't Saturday. It was Friday. Okay. And we all picked the men of Troy to beat the Buffalo.
Yes. USC quarterback freshman Keaton Slovis threw for 406 yards and 4 TD passes, including scores of 44 and 37 yards to Michael Pittman Jr. in the fourth quarter. Southern California escaped Folsom Field with a 35-31 win Friday night over the hard luck Buffaloes, who fell to 0-14 against the Trojans. The difference maker was the 37-yarder with 2:15 left that gave USC its first lead since early in the second quarter. Also coming up huge for the Trojans were fellow freshman Amon Ross St. Brown, who had a 37-yard TD run, Keenan Kristen, who had 85 yards rushing and a TD reception, and Drake London, who had 7 catches for 85 yards. Now, Kristen and London also recovered fumbles by Keaton that kept alive 2 touchdown drives. Now, for Colorado, quarterback Steven Montez, who had 0 TDs and 6 interceptions in his last 2 games, threw 3 TD passes, including a 71-yarder to Laviska Shenault Jr. on the second play of the second half. But he wasn't the same after taking a hard hit from safety Hunter Echols late in the third quarter. So we all got the win there, but barely.
Yeah, Colorado had a good. I said sun shines on a dog's ass once in a while, and it would have been nice to see Colorado. I would have liked to have seen Colorado win, only to take USC out. That would give Utah a chance. Because didn't USC beat Utah, correct?
Correct.
So Utah needs USC to drop a game in order for them to be ahead in the Pac-12 South, correct?
Correct.
So I think, are they tied right now down there? But USC takes it because of the tiebreaker?
Well, USC has basically a game and a half lead on Utah.
Okay.
Don't they? Because I don't think USC. Let me see.
They not have a bye week yet or something?
No, I don't think have they taken a loss in the pack?
I'm not sure. I don't think they're that good though.
Oh no, USC is 4-1, so they've got a half game lead. They're both 4-1.
Yeah, so they need Utah. And honestly, I want to see Utah take the South. Well, let me put it this way: I'd like to see Utah take the South if Oregon takes the North. If Oregon State takes the North, then I want to see USC take the South.
Yeah, and USC has 4 games left: Oregon, Arizona State, Cal, and UCLA. 2 home, 2 away.
Okay.
So we'll see. All right, Beej. So all of us got the point there. Up next, all the games are on Saturday, October 26th. First up, Arizona at Stanford.
And you and Kyle, I hate you, Kyle, took Arizona and the Wildcats. Me, I stood strong with the Cardinal. How'd I do, Billy?
Well, being forced to stand on the sidelines for the past 3 weeks took its toll on Stanford senior quarterback KJ Costello, who returned to Stanford's starting lineup and led the Cardinal to a 41-31 victory over visiting Arizona on Saturday. An energized Costello threw for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns after missing 3 games with a thumb injury. He was 30 of 43 passing with no interceptions. Now, he was kind of having to play because backup Miles Davis was out with a calf injury and unavailable. Now, showing no signs of discomfort, Costello rifled passes to 12 different receivers, including a pair of touchdown passes to Simi Fehiko and one to Bryson Tremaine, whose only 2 career receptions have both gone for touchdowns. Running back Cameron Scarlett rushed for 102 yards and scored twice. Freshman Ryan Sanborn added a pair of field goals. Now, Sanborn is playing Beej because Jet Toner, the guy that basically won the game for Stanford against the Beavs, has been hurt. Now, for the Wildcats, J.J. Taylor rushed for 107 yards and surpassed 3,000 yards for his career. Jermaine Joyner and Drew Dixon caught TD passes from Khalil Tate, who moved into 8th place on Arizona's all-time passing yards list. Now, freshman quarterback Grant Gunnell played 2 consecutive series in the first half, leading the Wildcats on efficient 8-play, 65-yard scoring drive in which he completed all 3 pass attempts for 34 yards, including an 8-yard scoring pass to Jalen Johnson. So the Bees might have to be prepared for that this week. Bees getting 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So. So you picked up a win there, moved a little bit closer to me and a little bit farther away from Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, next up, Arizona State at UCLA.
And we all picked. So this is the game I caught the half of.
Okay.
On XM. And so I was listening to it. I didn't get to watch it. And I thought it was funny because I'm listening to the Arizona State broadcasters, and they pretty much, I love the one guy's comment. He's like, Pac-12, the Conference of Champions, and the worst refs.
Oh, no, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, and because, I mean, I was surprised because normally, when you're listening to like Parker and their broadcast, they will make a comment about maybe a bad call, or a questionable call, but they don't. I've never hear them hammer. These guys were just like, these guys are terrible. These guys are absolutely terrible.
Well, and the thing is,
like
the one thing is they're usually terrible all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's they're getting just
bad.
At
least they're not biased on their poor calling. They treat both teams like shit. That's what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Well, Beej, UCLA senior running back Joshua Kelly had a career night Saturday, which is why the Bruins were able to beat a top 25 team for the second time this season. Now, Kelly scored a career-high 4 TDs and rushed for 164 yards in UCLA's 42-32 victory over 24th-ranked Arizona State. Kelly has rushed for over 100 yards in 3 of the past 4 games. He is the first Pac-12 player and 4th nationally this season to have 4 rushing touchdowns in a game. Now, the Bruins scored on 5 of their first 6 drives, including 4 consecutive possessions from late in the first quarter to midway in the third to roar out to a 35-7 lead after it was tied at 7-7. Quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson completed 16 of 23 passes for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the sophomore injured his leg after being hit on a scramble during the fourth quarter and did not return. Kelly didn't have an update on his quarterback. That's Chip Kelly didn't.
Oh, they don't talk about injuries, correct?
No. Now, for Arizona State, quarterback Jaden Daniels was 20 of 29 for 271 yards and 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. He also rushed for 67 yards, including a 1-yard sneak during the first quarter that tied it. Running back Eno Benjamin, who came into the game 4th in the Pac-12 in rushing average, was held to 46 yards on 13 carries. Frank Darby had 6 receptions for 110 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Yeah, he was stuffed.
I was really rooting for Arizona State. I'd like to see UCLA just kind of wallow down in the mud they belong.
Yeah, because we hate Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
So that's
nothing against the players. I'm sure they're talented, but
hate Chip Kelly.
Yep.
So. All right, Beej. None of us got the win there. Up next, Cal at Utah.
And we all picked Utah to dominate Cal. Were we right?
Well, Utah running back Zach Moss ran for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns, breaking 2 more school records as number 12 Utah routed Cal 35-0 on Saturday night.
Wow.
Now, after becoming Utah's career leader in rushing yards last week, Moss increased his total to 33 touchdowns on the ground and surpassed Del Rogers, who set the previous mark of 31 from 78 to 81. Now, Moss also reached 100 yards rushing for the 15th time, breaking the school record he had shared with Devontae Burker and John White IV. Moss also finished with 89 yards on 3 receptions. Now, the Utes rolled to 351 yards and 28 points in the first half, while allowing just 33 yards for the Bears. Tyler Huntley threw for 214 yards and a touchdown on 11 for 17 passing before sitting out the second half and resting his injured lower left leg. Now, Utah has only allowed 10 points in the last 14 quarters. And that lone touchdown, Beej, was a last-minute score in the 52-7 win over Oregon State a couple of weeks ago. Now, the Bears have lost 4 in a row after starting 4-0 and reaching number 15 in the AP poll. Now, in his first start, freshman quarterback Spencer Brash was under constant harassment and completed 7 of 19 passes for 47 yards. Regular starter Chase Garbers and backup Devin Monster were both injured. And Beej, that also broke Cal's streak of holding opponents under 24 points. So, yeah. Utah just went out and just leveled them.
Yeah, I mean, the fact they couldn't even get it in the end zone or through the uprights.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they were just destroyed.
Wow.
So we all got the win there. All right, Beej, and the last game of the week, Washington State at Oregon.
And I was so rooting for the Cougs on this one. I'm like, please, Cougs, don't Coug. But what did they do, Billy?
Well, Beej, Oregon running back C.J. Verdell ran for a career-high 257 yards and 3 touchdowns, including an 89-yard touchdown run early in the game. But it was freshman kicker Camden Lewis who nailed a 26-yard field goal as time expired, extending number 11 Oregon's winning streak to 7 games with a 37-35 victory over Washington State on Saturday night. Now, Washington State quarterback Anthony Gordon's 5-yard touchdown pass on 4th down to Brandon Arconado with a minute remaining gave Washington State a 35-34 lead. But then Justin Herbert completed 4 straight passes on the ensuing drive to get the Ducks close for Lewis's kick. Now, the loss snapped Washington State's 4-game winning streak over Oregon. Now, Gordon threw for 406 yards and 3 TDs for the Cougs, while Arconado caught 9 passes for 130 yards and 2 scores. Herbert threw for 222 yards, but his streak of 35 straight games with a touchdown pass, the longest active in the nation, was snapped.
So that sucks.
It does.
You got the point.
Yep. Yeah, well, and it was one of those things where I knew where I stood at the end of that, right? But I was going to take the loss if it meant Oregon lost. Because there I'm picking who I think's not going to win, who I think's going to win, not who I want to win.
Yeah. And I was kind of right. I mean, I thought it was going to be a close game, and it was.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
I was really hoping Wazoo would pull it out. But, my God, how many games have they couged this year?
Several.
3.
Oh, well, UCLA, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought they should run more time off towards the end.
They just weren't managing the clock well?
No, not really. They got down there, deep, and it's like, look, you're either going to score or, you're going to or not. I mean, you needed a touchdown to tie with a PAT to go ahead, and it's just like, run some time. It's once you got down there close, and it was either score or nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would have run some more time, but incomplete
cut
passes
down,
tend to do that. Yeah.
But whether you're going to win or lose, there's not going to be any time left on the clock for them if you win.
Yeah.
You're calling it short.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, they had 1 or no timeouts left, so even if they don't score, it's not like you had any chance of getting the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Beej, it's now time to look at the Pac-12 in the polls.
Okay.
So, as of today, Oregon jumped up 4 spots and is at number 7. Utah,
which surprises me since they didn't win convincingly over Washington State.
No, but a lot of schools behind them, in front of them, lost.
That's what it was.
Oklahoma
they didn't
lost.
Get
Auburn lost. Notre Dame lost. Yeah. Yeah, so you had a bunch of schools in front of them. Wisconsin lost a second game. Notre Dame lost a second game. So a lot of teams fell back. Auburn lost the game.
So where did they end up again?
So Oregon's in at number 7. Utah jumped up 3 spaces to number 9.
Okay.
And that is it for the Pac-12 in the poll and the AP poll. And Washington, USC, all higher in the others receiving votes category. Now in the coaches poll, Oregon jumped up 3 spots to number 8. Utah jumped up 2 spots to number 10. And Washington, Arizona State are all in the others receiving votes category.
But USC's not?
They don't get any votes in the coaches poll, no.
Okay.
So,
USA Today?
That's the USA Today coaches poll.
Oh, I thought that was USA Today coaches poll. Yeah, okay.
Yep. So just down to 2 teams in there, but they're moving up. And depending on what happens, my thing is some of these teams like LSU, Alabama, they're going to have to play and you've got Georgia up there, Florida. Some of these teams are going to have to play each other because they're all in the SEC.
Okay.
Right? You've got Penn State and Ohio State. Still going to have to probably play each other somewhere down the line.
I think that's going to put Oregon in potential to go towards number 1 or number 2? Because you
got to be in the top 4. And if Oregon wins out, I would figure they should be in that top 4. But I think the same thing happens with Utah.
So if you're in the top 4, would they still go to the Rose Bowl or do they go to the playoffs?
I don't know how it works this year. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I'll look that up. Okay, so the Rose Bowl is its own thing. The national championship is in New Orleans. So the Peach Bowl and the Cotton Bowl got brought into what used to be the BCS.
Okay,
Right.
so they are the semi.
No. So the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl are left alone. The Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl are the semifinal games.
Uh-huh.
And then the national championship is in New Orleans.
So
which is where the Sugar Bowl is.
Is the national championship the Sugar Bowl?
No. The Sugar Bowl's on January 1st.
And the championship game is a week later or so?
Yes, the championship game is almost 2 weeks later. It's January 13th.
Okay, so if the top team in the Pac-12 is one of the top 4 teams, who goes to the Rose Bowl?
I don't know. Depends how it works out.
Okay.
There's too much in the way to figure that out.
Okay.
You know, it depends where people are. I know the Rose Bowl would like to have a Big Ten Pac-12 matchup if they can, but that's not always possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just because sometimes other teams get slotted and have to have a spot to go. So.
Yeah.
All right, Beej. It is now time for the Tommy Tuberville.
What's he think I look like? A jackass?
You sure do.
Jackass of the Week Award. Every week, we like to discuss a person in college football who exemplifies the truly worst in sportsmanship, leadership, or just being a fan. And this week, Beej. It was actually kind of tough this week. You know, we've been doing this for
not a lot of Jackass.
This is our 8th season. The Jackass Award started in that first season because I would just bitch about Tommy Tuberville a lot, and then it's always. And I've never usually had a problem finding some jackassery that happens every week, but this week it was kind of tough. But I did find kind of one story that it kind of bothers me, and so this is who we're going to be giving it to. So, Beej, you know that a lot of schools have that beginning of the fourth quarter music, right?
Yes.
So at Oregon State, they like to play TNT.
Yep, by AC/DC.
Yep. Oregon, they like to play Shout from Blues Brothers. Yep. Or I mean from
Animal House.
Yeah. Which, side note, was funny because I remember back in the early 90s, Oregon State brought Otis, my man, to come and do a concert at halftime. Way before Oregon started using that song, Oregon State celebrated it.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I vaguely do. It's been quite a few years.
Oh yeah, they brought Otis, my man, out. So
that's odd.
But anyway, so now Oregon uses it, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of,
it's theirs
to their school. Yeah, sure, whatever. They can have it, and it's a good song actually, and like how it gets the crowd into it, it's great. But you know who really is the first school to start this?
Is Jump Around Wisconsin?
Correct.
Okay.
So, Beej, when Jump Around is played at Camp Randall Stadium in Wisconsin prior to the start of the fourth quarter, it creates one of the most unforgettable atmospheres in college football, as fans literally rock the house in support of the Badgers. But, Beej, when the Ohio State Buckeyes and Illinois Fighting Illini play it in their stadiums during and after victories against the Badgers, as they have in consecutive weeks, it's unforgettable for a different reason. Now, Wisconsin tight end Jake Ferguson said, "That's something that we hold dear at Wisconsin. It's usually a time to get excited and get pumped up. Coming into somewhere else and having them play it, it definitely stings a little bit." Now, Ohio State was the latest to do it, playing Jump Around midway through the fourth quarter of Saturday's 38-7 rout of number 13 Wisconsin at Ohio Stadium. Now, a week earlier, as Illinois fans stormed the field, the song blared on the Memorial Stadium speakers after the Illini stunned the then number 6 Badgers 24-23. Now, Ferguson said, "I think a lot of our guys are looking forward to playing these guys again." And that's Beej right where I put it. The people that do this are not the football team. It's, some smart ass in the press box who's deciding what to play. And while they might find it funny, all you're doing is stoking that fire for next season. And teams don't forget. And football is such an emotional sport. I don't know why you're giving them free fuel for that fire.
I was thinking when you were mentioning it, I always go back to at the end of the Civil War, Lincoln requested the band play Dixie after the South surrendered.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't do it out of animosity. He did it out of respect.
Exactly.
But this is done out of animosity.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah. Especially when you're Ohio State. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys
have a little class.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are the big dog, or pretty much the big dog on the block for a number of seasons. Have been. Why do you guys have to do that? Right?
Uh-huh.
I just don't understand that. And it's just classless.
Well, my view's always been, you proved it on the field. Why do you need to be a dick after that?
Exactly. And my thing with it there is, I've never heard of Wisconsin being a bunch of assholes, right? Mm-hmm. I've never heard of the team being jerks. I've never heard of the fans being jerks.
Mm-hmm.
It's something they do for themselves at their own stadium. So,
and it's a hell of a sight to see.
Yeah.
I'd love you and I to go back to a Wisconsin game only for the fact to see that.
I want to. I want to go back. I want you to go back to a game in Nebraska sometime.
Okay.
So it'll be done. But anyways, I just thought it was a classless move. And Ohio State and last week Illinois, you get this week's Jackass of the Week award. Yeah, I just don't think it's a. I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. There's no reason for it. So.
Nope.
All right, Beej, it is now time for our musical interlude of the week, and this week is your pick.
So I did I don't know if people realize this, but I really do a lot of research to try to figure out what I'm going to pick. So, because I'm like, I always figure that the people who are listening to our podcast might be doing it while they're driving into work or driving home from work. They're probably, mobile. So I want to have a song that you can enjoy while driving, right? And so I went through a couple. And then the other thing that annoys me a lot is when you listen to a song and you really listen to the song and you realize that all they do is sing the chorus like 10 times at the end. And that really pisses me off. And so there was a couple songs that were on my list today, and then I listened to them, and I'm like going, God damn it, they're just singing the same freaking song or the same chorus over and over again to get their 3.5 minutes on the radio time. So I did a little bit more research. Came up with one. So this song that I picked has an Oregon connection. A young woman named Julianne Phillips made a cameo in the music video for this song.
I know the song.
Where she appeared at the baseball field. I'm not done. At the baseball field in the final scene. Julianne was raised in Lake Oswego, and she met the writer and performer of this song in 1984, and they married in May of 1985.
And it was a big deal.
Unfortunately,
here in
they did divorce a few years later.
Yeah, it was a big deal here.
It was a huge deal here in Oregon. Yeah. And I remember because they're always like, and that's how I remembered that she was in the music videos, because they made a comment that she was in the music video. So the song was the 5th single released from the album Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, and it peaked at number 5 on Billboard Hot 100 in the summer of 1985. Interesting fact on this song is that there is an alternate mix that includes one extra verse.
Really?
Did you know this?
No.
Yes, and I'd like you to find this because I found it on YouTube. So if you can find this, the alternate one, you just have to look up this song with alternate verse or with additional verse, and it'll play it. So the alternate verse is about the narrator's father, who worked at the Ford auto plant in Machuca, New Jersey, for 20 years, and now spends his time at the American Legion Hall, thinking how he ain't never had any glory days.
Huh.
And that is what this is. It's Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen. So here it is, hopefully with the additional verse. And here you go.
1, 2, 3, 4. get my fill. And I hope when I get old I don't sit around thinking about it. But I probably will. Yeah, just sitting back, trying to recapture a little of the glory. Well, the time slips away, leaves you with nothing, mister, but boring stories of glory days. Yeah, they'll pass you by, glory days. And the wind of the young girl's eye, glory days. Glory days. Yeah, they'll pass us by, glory days. And the wind of the young girl's eye, glory days. Glory
All right, Beej, that was cool. I'd never heard that version
I had
before.
no idea there was. Me neither. I don't know if our audience, because we don't get a lot of feedback, but I don't know if our audience appreciates some of the weird crap that we figure out and find out and share with them.
Yeah.
But I love interesting stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
We're full of a lot of interesting, stupid stuff. So,
absolutely.
I always tell, I was talking to some people the other day, and I was like, you really don't have to be super smart in this world to get along. It helps, but being curious really helps. If you're curious about things, about whatever, you're going to be fine. So,
yeah. Because. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, Beej. Well, it is now time to look at Week 10 in the Pac-12. Week 10, Beej.
We're almost, it's almost November. I'm looking out on my vineyard here, and the leaves are falling. They're a beautiful yellow color.
Yep.
And it signals the end of the season. We're getting close to the end of the season.
I know, it's crazy.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got the email from Kyle, and it looks like we've only got 4 Pac-12 games this week, and they all are on Saturday, November 2nd. So First up, we have Utah at Washington.
No question in my mind, Utah will destroy Washington.
Okay. Beej goes Utah. I too am go Utah. Kyle says this week's picks all seem very difficult. Which, side note, I agree with him. So he said Utah versus Washington. Utah seems better all the time. Utah. I completely agree with that sentiment. All right, next up.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon at USC.
USC.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think USC's that good. I don't think Oregon plays very well in the Coliseum. And I think Oregon's luck's going to run out.
Yeah. Kyle says, I wanted the Cougs to win so bad, Oregon. I too am taking USC. I think USC's got a lot of talent. I just don't necessarily think their head coach is that great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think.
But you think they might be able to put it?
I think raw talent can sometimes overcome poor coaching. So, and it is in the Coliseum. So.
Yeah.
I don't like rooting for USC.
USC's got a pretty strong record. USC's got a pretty strong record there in the Coliseum, don't they?
Of course, yeah. I mean, the beating Colorado on the road was their first road win this year. So they were undefeated at home. So
okay.
They actually beat Utah in the Coliseum. So, all right, Beej, up next. Colorado at UCLA.
Colorado.
Really?
God. I always really. You have two go-to words, but and really.
I too am taking Colorado.
You're such an
Well,
ass.
no, I'm writing it down before you say your pick, and that's why I said it like that. I was like, dang it, I thought you were going to take UCLA. Of course, you hate Chip Kelly, so. Kyle says,
I hate Chip Kelly, and Colorado was so close last week that I think they're going to continue with that effort, and I think they'll be able to overcome UCLA.
If this wasn't a first-year coach, I would think maybe some of these guys might give up, but because it's a first-year coach, I think he'll still keep them fighting. So, and they've still got some stuff to play for. They could still make a bowl game. You know, they need to win a lot of games here at the end, but you know, it's still possible for them. Kyle's. Let me say, Kyle says my picks have been so bad, I want Colorado to win, so I'll pick UCLA. So he's using reverse psychology there. I don't know how that works with picks.
Yeah, well, George Costanza tried that, I think, in Seinfeld, where he was going to do just the opposite of what he would normally do to try to change the outcome. So
did it work?
You know, normally it was like normally when he would go out with a girl, he would lie and say that he was an architect, but instead he was going to tell him the truth that he was unemployed and living with his parents. And all of a sudden and then all of a sudden the gal, she's like, well, what do you do? He's like, I'm unemployed and I live with my parents. Really?
So it worked for him.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll work for Kyle. We'll see.
All right, Beej, and the last game of the weekend, Oregon State at Arizona.
And I'm taking the Beavs on this one, Billy. I think, I'm hoping we have this one. Nothing's ever great, but I think we've got a good shot.
Yeah, I agree.
There's always a chance.
I too am taking the Beavs. Kyle says, hey, we both lost to Hawaii. Go Beavs. Which is true. And probably both easily could have beat Hawaii. I mean, Arizona kind of had them dead to rights. We had Hawaii dead to rights. So, anyways, yeah. So I'm looking for a good win. Do you have any plans this coming weekend?
This coming weekend?
Yeah. Next weekend.
Aren't we going to it's the Verboord Sausage Festival, isn't it?
Correct, and we're going to go early because I think the Beaver game's at 1:30.
Ooh, okay. So we're going to go to the Verboord Sausage Festival first?
Yeah.
And does it start like at lunchtime?
Yeah.
Do they have a lunch version? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go get some sausage and green beans and mashed potatoes and gravy at the Visitation Church in Verboord, Oregon.
Correct.
And then my thought was we go over to the prime time out there in Cornelius afterwards and get drinks and watch the game there. What were your thoughts?
That works for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only closest bar that I know of that's got TVs decently.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, well, that's good. I love sausage.
That's what I hear.
So that's my only thing. And we got Halloween coming up on Thursday.
Yep, correct.
So saw where you bought all your full-size candy bars already.
Correct. But what the crazy part is, I won't be here.
Really?
No,
where are you going to be?
We have a promo that night at Suds. Yeah.
Well, that'll be good. I'm sure can you? And so you're going to be at the promo at the bar. There's going to be tons of girls there dressed in sexy little whatever outfits, right? Sexy maids.
You don't come into Suds often, do you?
Does that not happen? Just a bunch of middle-aged dudes sitting there watching. We'll probably
have some good costumes, but I don't know how many of those you're going to see. We had one costume, one guy one year he actually built a pinball game. And so like on his chest was the scoreboard of the pinball and it stuck out and you could actually go up and play it.
Really?
It was amazing. It kept scoring everything. It was crazy. Now we have some creative costumes.
What do you use for the plunger?
I don't remember. You just had a little thing that you pulled it and plunged it. Quit trying to be gross.
What kind of bar do you work at, Billy?
Not that kind of bar, Beej. It's not a meat market kind of bar.
So, okay. What else? So you're going to be doing the promo?
Well, we got the promo that night, so yeah.
So the boys going to be handing out your candy?
No, Jess will be.
Oh, okay.
But,
you got a lot of little kids from her school that stop by?
Oh, yeah, they all know where we live.
Oh, that's
so
good.
that's why we have like 150.
That's okay now when they're kindergartners.
Yeah,
but wait until they, go out one night, watch the Joker, and get inspired.
There you go. Well, we had one little kid last year who threatened to TP our house.
Really?
Yeah, and Jess was standing there and she goes, "Well, you know what that happens? I'm going to call the cops." Which is funny because you know what that little boy's dad was?
A cop?
Yep. In McMinnville, but still. He was like,
still.
I'm gonna, he's like, I'm going to call my dad. So, anyways. But anyways, yeah. Well,
all right.
I'm hoping we get a good game this week.
Only 4 games, but all 4 of those games are great games to watch. When I was listening to that Arizona State broadcast for the game on Saturday, they were going through stuff, and they actually mentioned Oregon State a little bit, and they said Oregon State has the toughest schedule still ahead of them.
Yeah.
According to the rankings.
Yeah, well, because
we've got the worst schedule.
If you look, we've still got, Washington State, Washington, Arizona. Mm-hmm. We don't have any weak sauce, sisters in there. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, and I don't really think, outside of maybe Colorado and UCLA,
but,
is there really a weak sauce team in the Pac-12?
Well, you say that, but overall, Colorado's 3-5, UCLA's 3-5, Arizona 4-4, Cal 4-4,
so
Wazoo 4-4, Oregon State 3-4, Arizona State 5-3. USC 5-3, Washington 5-3, Stanford 4-4.
So, and what's Oregon?
Oregon's 7-1.
Oregon's the only. Yeah,
Oregon's
they're the only ones that
have. And Utah 7-1.
Okay.
And then everybody else is 5-3, 4-4, or 3-5, or 3-4. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Okay, well, I'm certainly hoping for USC, and I'm certainly hoping for OSU. So hopefully those 2 games fall. The rest I don't care about.
There you go. So, I want to thank everyone for listening to show number 132 of Illegal Participation. If you'd like to send a comment, a suggestion, or leave a question, HeinrichTailgater@gmail.com, @HeinrichTailgater on Twitter, HeinrichTailgater on Facebook. Remember, listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio app, Google Play Podcasts, or your favorite podcatcher. Beej.
Billy.
It's been great. Next week, show number 133. Crazy how many of these we've done.
I can't believe we've done that many. It's just, I can't believe we've been doing this crap this long, and we still have an audience.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised I've offended everybody by now. I probably have offended everybody, but they've stayed with us, so that's pretty good.
There you go. Well, hopefully the Beavs have a good weekend down in the desert. And until then, go Beavs. There are a couple of sports that are playing today.
Okay.
So we might just say something and then I'll cut some audio in later.
You want me to say, Beej, next we're going to talk about such and such. Be like,
no, and
that's fantastic. You're like, oh, that's disappointing. And then you can cut either way.
I'm going to say, and then on Sunday, I'm going to say, and then on Sunday, and I'll leave a pause, and then you're like, huh, well, who would have thought of that? Because you don't know if they won or lost.
Can you believe that?
Exactly, because you don't know if they. Damn it! I was supposed to have the.
Reminds me, I was talking to Dunny the other night when we went out and saw the current war, and
how was that?
It was good. I enjoyed it. Tom Holland just cannot look like an old man. That's his tough thing.
Yeah,
it looks like he's 12.
Even though he's like 24, 23.
Is that what he is?
Yeah, he's over 20.
But I think it was when we went to dinner or something. I mentioned the old Whose Line Is It Anyway, where Colin Firth was on there, and they'd always put him in front of the green screen. He goes, "Can you believe what's going on behind me?"
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah. And South Carolina escaped Folsom Field with a 35-31 win Friday night.
South Carolina.
Southern California escaped Folsom Field with a 35-31 win Friday night over the hard luck Buffaloes, who fell to 0-14 against the Trojans.
It's like it's not even in the same conference, not even on the same side of the country.
Here, let me look it up right now because I can edit this out.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go.
Now you don't need to edit it out. I kind of covered for you. You're welcome.